Hey, have you ever wanted to be a better person, a happier person, a more confident person, a kinder person, somehow different to how you are now or how you are in any particular moment, or just times when you're in a bad mood and you wish you knew how to snap out of it and you just don't seem to know how, or just when things are getting on top of you and you just wish that you had some magic spell, some wand you could wave that would make it all go away. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that anytime you like, so that you are in control and that you are not controlled by external circumstances. So stay tuned. I'm about to shrink down into the corner. There I go. Now, at any given moment, all of us, you, me, anyone you care to name, we are in, I guess in common parlance, we would say, I'm in some kind of mood. How are you today? Well, I feel good, I feel bad, I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel whatever, that kind of thing. But that can also be described as a state. And what we mean by a state has three elements. Now, this is something I learned from Tony Robbins. So if you want to check it out, you can check this out. It's easy enough to find online. I'm going to show you what I learned from him in a nutshell, and then I'm going to take it to a step further. Okay, so what's a state? A state of mind, a state of being, if you like. So the way Tony Robbins teaches it, there are three elements, and we're going to therefore describe it by drawing a triangle. And the three elements of the triangle over here is focus, and that can be well, that is your thoughts and your beliefs. Over here is language. That is to say, your self-talk, what you're saying to yourself in your head. Oh, don't be so stupid. That's not going to make you feel great, is it? Okay? Or, hey, you did really well there. All right? So, how we talk to ourselves does matter. And the third element is physiology. Now, I actually want you during this video to test this out for yourself, right? So actually, this one, physiology, is number one. This is the key to it all. Right, so I'll come back to it. Let's take them one at a time. So focus, what you're thinking about, what you believe, is going to make a difference. So if, let's say, you're in a bad mood at work, or something's happened at work and it's really getting you down, you are going to be thinking thoughts about that. You will have beliefs. Maybe you think that the boss doesn't like you. Maybe you believe that. It may or may not be true, but you've decided in your mind that that's a thing, and therefore your focus is going to be on he or she is in some way out to get you, and that's why you've been given all this extra work, or you can't relax in the evenings and you've got to stay and do overtime, or whatever it is, right? So one of the possibilities there is that it's not true. And even if it is true, it's not necessarily true that that's the reason why you are where you are. And also, what you're doing with whatever you're thinking and believing is you're extrapolating from it. You're taking it forward in time. This means it's going to go on forever. This means I'm stuck with it. This means that, oh, I don't know, should I take out a lawsuit about being bullied, or whatever you think it means. Now, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do those things. What I'm saying is you don't have to think that. You could, but when you realize that you're not your thoughts, and I'll come on to that when we do the second part of this, you will see that you're free from that. Let's look at language. Let's go over here for a minute. Look at language. Now, language is what you're saying to yourself, your self-talk. And again, you can step back from that and you can, so what am I saying to myself? What tone of voice am I even talking to myself in? And you can change that. You can change the words, but you can also change the volume. You can change the tone. You know, what if you said to yourself in a really sweet, loving tone, "Oh, you're such a bad person." Suddenly the whole emotion of it changes or evaporates, and it becomes silly or funny or amusing or something else. So your ability to change the way you feel, when you know that it's made of these three elements, this one, and this one, it is always open to you. So let's talk about physiology, because this is the big key, and this is what allows you to do it instantly. So I'm going to come up to the big screen again so I can play with my physiology on the camera for you. So I remember when Tony was teaching this, I went to his live events, and he was teaching it from the stage. And one of the things that he said was, let us suppose that in the next couple of minutes, someone is going to knock at your door, a total stranger, someone you've never seen before. And let's suppose, for the sake of making it easier to talk about, it's a guy, right? So the only information you have about this guy is that he is depressed. He's very, very depressed. He's going to knock on your door, and you're going to open the door, and there will be a very depressed person standing there. Now, Tony asked, would you expect to see somebody with a head up or down? Which one? A depressed person? You know the answer to that right away. Would you expect their breathing to be deep or shallow? Would you expect the way they speak to be robust and outgoing and have volume? Or would you expect them to mumble and be very quiet? Right? You know exactly. The physiology of depression is never, woohoo, I'm depressed. Nobody ever does that. If somebody did that, jumping about going, woohoo, I'm depressed, you would know immediately they're lying. Nobody has that physiology when they're depressed. And I love looking at cartoons, good, really well-drawn cartoons. I used to love the Peanuts cartoons, because when I was a kid, they were in the newspapers. You know, Snoopy the dog, and you could tell. And now we've got the Simpsons, except they're moving all the time, so it's a bit more difficult. But you can tell the artists are so clever with just a few lines of a pen. You know exactly, even without reading the caption, what kind of mood the character is in, just by the expressions on their face, or the way they're holding their head, or whatever is going on, or their arms, their face, and so on. So physiology expresses our mood. What's not so well known, or not so well realized, is a better way to put it, is that that's a two-way street. If you're doing this, you are not feeling depressed. But also, if you are feeling depressed and you can get yourself to do this, even for a couple of minutes, even for a few seconds, you will not feel depressed in that moment. Now, you might slump back into it right away. But in that moment, when you're jumping around and woohoo, I'm a winner, I feel great, life is wonderful, even though inside you're like, yeah, but life is terrible. In that moment, you will not feel depressed. It's a two-way street. So your mood changes your physiology, the way you hold yourself and carry yourself, and also the way you hold and carry yourself changes your mood. Try it. Right? Now, you don't have to do this. You can if you want, but you don't have to. What I'm going to suggest to you is choose the state you want to be in. So let us say you want to be in a state of confidence. Let's choose confidence. Right, so now what you need to do is to think of somebody, and it can be someone you know, or it can be a character from a story or a movie, who in your view has superb confidence. And you can close your eyes if you like and bring them to mind, summon up a picture of them, and just model their physiology, the way you see it in their mind. How do they walk? How do they carry themselves? How do they use even the little muscles around their eyes and the corners of the mouth? How do they hold their head on their neck? How do they breathe? How do they speak? How do they project themselves? Are they able to project confidence by being quiet? Not by shouting, but by being quietly confident, and so that people lean in to listen. How do they make eye contact? Get those details clear in your mind and model it. Nobody else knows what you're doing. You can just do this. Right? Now you will find that when you adjust your physiology, the other two elements of your state, what you're focusing on and what you're saying to yourself inside your head, will start to change all by themselves. So you want to change your physiology, change your state, change your physiology, and you can do it in seconds. Now, I said that I was going to take this one stage further, because what happens is, when I learned this, it was like, well, okay, so now I feel confident. But now what do I do? How do I sustain that? It's okay in the moment. So let me show you another triangle. And you'll find this in greater depth in my book, The Book of Being. But this is the basis of it. This is how it works. So let's draw another triangle here. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about how we learned the rules of life. Okay, so this is the rules of life. Now, I don't know you. I don't know what your upbringing was or what culture you grew up in. So it may be different for you. But if you have grown up in a westernized culture in the 20th or 21st century, then it is likely that life was taught to you, in essence, this way. So there are lots of rules, things we need to do or have to do, rules. Okay? So, and it starts when we're very small. My phone disappeared. Starts when we're very small. Like, put away your toys, say please and thank you. Use your knife and fork a particular way. Don't put your elbows on the table. Whatever the rules were in your home and your culture. Now, as you get older, those rules become more complex. Study hard at school and get good grades and so on. And there are also rules about how to do interactions with people, and then later you discover there are rules about how to interact with members of the opposite sex or whichever gender you're attracted to in order to get dates and have relationships, and nobody really is likely to teach you those rules, or there'll be a bazillion different opinions about what those rules are, and you sure as heck find out when you break them, because things don't work. And you can get your heart broken and all sorts of things can go wrong. But there are many, many rules, things we have to do in life. Now, the question is, why? Why do we have to do them? And the answer to that is so that if you ask anybody, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, ask your teachers, ask elders, they will tell you, well, it's so that you can have the goodies of life. You can have all kinds of stuff. So if you are polite to people and do the good manners and please and thank you, and then you're kind to people and so on, it means you can have friends and you can have nice things. People will give you things, and later on people will pay you because you do show up for work all the time, on time, and you do the job required of you, and so on. and you did what was required of you at school and got the grades. So if we say, okay, well, in order to have life, to have things I want, I've got to do loads of stuff, do loads of things. There's lots and lots of rules. But I still don't really know why. What's the purpose of it all? What's the purpose of all these rules and even what's the purpose of having all this stuff? You know, me personally, when I got to my early 30s, I had a load of stuff. I had a decent job. I had a wife, a baby. I had a reasonable car in the street outside. We lived in a decent, modest house. And I was very, very unhappy. The marriage was terrible. I was deep in debt. I couldn't see a way forward at times. I got a very, very low period of my life at one point. I've told that story elsewhere. I'm not going to repeat it all here. Not because it's a secret, but because that's not what you came for. And so, the answer to the question, why do I want to have, why do I have to do all these things to have all that stuff, is so that we can be happy, isn't it? That's always the goal. We're just trying to be happy. Now, if you look at that, that's how I remember being taught how to do life. Do stuff so you can have stuff so you can be happy. And that is an uphill struggle. That is an uphill struggle. I've got to do all this stuff so I can have all this stuff. So eventually, at some point when I'm grown up, hopefully before I'm too old or burned out to really appreciate it, I'll be happy. But first of all, I've got to climb this great big hill. Now, it took me many years to realize this, but eventually, unfortunately, I did realize it, that we have that backwards. Because if we start from here, no, not if we start from here, we do start from there. You have never seen an unhappy baby. When we're born, yeah, I know we come out crying, but that's not because we're unhappy. It's like, whoa, what just happened? And then the baby gets fed and cuddled and everything's fine. And baby puppies and kittens and baby elephants and everything are naturally happy. They scamper about and play and just want to have fun. We're the same. I know we're more complex and we grow up into more complex and maybe more intelligent species than those others, but the basic premise is the same. We are born happy. So I shouldn't have to do anything to be happy. If I start from being happy, then what happens is I automatically know what to do because it just bubbles out of me. It's automatic. It's how life works. I just know what to do. Now, okay, I don't know rules of the, please and thank you. I have to be taught some things. I have to be taught how to cross a road without getting knocked over. That's okay. There are those kinds of rules. But the rules of how to be myself, don't speak like that. Don't do that. Don't behave in that way around these kinds of people. Are like, okay, what I've learned as I've got older is if people are going to be offended by the way I am, those are the wrong kind of people. We're not compatible to be around each other. And that's whether it's a relationship like a marriage or whether it's a group of people who don't share your ideals. We can't, there are something like 8 billion people on this planet right now. We're not going to be liked by all of them, and we're not going to like all of them. That's okay. But what to do comes out of how to be. So when you are doing the state change thing, when you change your physiology, let's say it's confidence, but it could be kindness, it could be playfulness, it could be any state you want to experiment with or feel that you want to be. and that you're missing out on, or you don't have enough of in that time, then change your state, do the physiology thing, and then allow yourself to notice what thoughts come. I told you the language that you're using inside your mind, inside your head, the way you're speaking to yourself will change automatically. So just listen. You are not your thoughts. I mentioned that earlier. You can watch your thoughts. So there's a self that is always at peace, always the background, like the white paper, well, whatever it is, that I've been drawing on, some kind of electronic paper, has to be plain and white in order for the black ink that I've been using my pen to show you to show up. Otherwise, if it was all multicolored or black, or I can't draw a black line on a black background or a noisy background. You wouldn't be able to see it. And the same is true of yourself. Yourself, your actual self, is the peaceful, silent, witnessing watcher. Background. It's always there. And the self is always aware. It's alive, it's aware, it's not a nothing. And you're able to watch your thoughts and listen to the language and the words that you're saying to yourself and the tone that you're speaking to yourself in. And then, because you can observe it, you can now say to yourself, I don't have to think that thought. I don't have to listen to that statement. That's not who I want to be. And just doing that frees you. And it frees you to become anything and anyone and anyhow you want. And when you are aware of that background self that is aware, that is pure awareness, you suddenly know you are at peace. You've always been at peace. It's only because you let all these thoughts swirl about and you believe them. So next time you think, oh, the boss is getting to me, I don't know if the boss is getting to you or not. But if you stop thinking about it, stop thinking it, and just, yeah, maybe, but that doesn't stop me being me. I can still be me. You could walk out. You could. My wife did that once. She had a boss that ranted at her for 3 days over something absolutely trivial. It wasn't even her fault. But she apologized anyway, and 3 days later he was still going on about it, and she said, what do you want me to do? I've apologized. There's nothing. I can't go back and undo this tiny thing. And she said, well, here you are. Here's the keys. Goodbye. And she left and never went back. And it changed her life. And she felt great. So there's all kinds of ways that you can respond to it. It's when we feel that we are victims of our history and our circumstances and the pressures that other people are putting on us. Those are not really pressures. They're just because of what we're focusing on, thinking and believing. Start with change your state. Go back to my drawings. Change your state. Do this one first. Choose a state you want to be in, and then let yourself be. Just let yourself be, and what to do in that state will bubble out of you naturally. Now, this has been a long video. I hope it's been helpful. Please leave your comments below, and I do read comments, and I do my best to respond to all of them. Also, please like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Remember to hit the little bell as well. And then, because of your comments and because I know the videos are getting attention, I can make more of them, and it encourages me, and we have a win-win situation going on. So I'm Trevor Emdon. It's been real pleasure having your company. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this has been useful. I'll see you next time.